Right, hello. Okay, Agent Smith versus the BORG. Now, let's just get down to the business, right? What's the Matrix films about? Well, the Matrix films about, you've seen, maybe you've seen a few other videos about the Matrix films. I just want to get down to business. What is it really about? The Matrix film is about most people are monsters. That's what it's about. Most people are monsters. Right? That's what it's about. I mean, if you think about it, you know, in the Matrix, everyone turns into Agent Smith at the drop of a hat. You know, if you're not in the Matrix, then they attack you. It's not like you're trying to do them any harm. You're actually trying to help them, but they still attack you, right? They're monsters. And they're all of one mind. They're all of one mind. That's the problem. So I was going to add onto this video the title, also autism, schizophrenia, and cannabis, because you know, a part of doing the work is like living in the truth, right? So ever since they put this prohibition on cannabis about 70 years ago, roughly, depending on what part of the world you're in, they've been coming up with different lies about why cannabis is illegal, right? Because, you know, we're talking about the devil here, basically. From a Christian standpoint, we're talking about the devil. Agent Smith is the devil, right? He's a lion that sort of like, you know, wanders around in the daytime, you know, seeking to sort of, you know, cause people problems. And okay, so right. He's of one mind. It's like the demon, I am Legion. He's everywhere. Okay, so the Matrix films are about the fact that the vast majority of people are monsters. They're all of one mind. You know, they wear a mask. I mean, this is known about in lots of our different ways. You know, the persona. People have a soul, and then they have a persona. You know, like a mask that they wear, personality. You know, I've talked about this before. Like, all these horror films, they're all based on the same kind of reality. This sort of one mind, like the vampire, for example, he takes over and controls everyone. They're all of one mind. The Invasion of the Body Snatchers, they're all of one mind. You know, the Borg out of Star Trek, they're all of one mind. It's this like collective consciousness, which is like demonic, and it's based on ignorance and sin. People try to cover it up. See, the demon wants you to cover it up, wants you to cover its tracks. You know, it wants you to disguise it. So what it does is it feeds you, it basically gives you its feelings of like inadequacy and fear and hatred and sin, and makes you think that it's your thoughts. So you try to cover up your sort of inadequacies, you know, and you wear this mask, and then you're effectively hiding the demon. You know, you're hiding it behind your own sort of defenses, and then you become like Agent Smith or like a vampire or something, you know, or the Borg. Now, part of the work is coming to terms with all this. You know, you're surrounded by all this sort of horror, you know, and this is why you have the hermetic lifestyle, you know, and you sort of, you know, distance yourself from everyday life and everyday people, because they're just too much trouble. You know, if you want to get out of the matrix, if you want to free your soul, and like get out of hell and go into paradise, people will try to stop you, because to them you look like you've gone crazy. Okay, there's some other aspects to this, other versions of it. Individuation. I think it was Carl Jung who started this off, this idea of individuation, where you become an individual. You break out of the collective, and you become your own person. You develop your soul, in other words. Okay, about autism and schizophrenia. Now, the last thing, about the lies they've been making up about cannabis, they started off saying that you know, if black people would get white people to smoke cannabis, and like couples, and then the black guy would go off in the bedroom with the white man's wife, while the white man is sitting there all laughing, and the black man is having sex with his wife in the other room. And he's just laughing, and he can see what's going on, and he just thinks it's all funny. That was the original propaganda film, you know, Reefer Madness. And when people realised that that was not true, the government come up with, oh, it makes people violent. And then people realised that wasn't true. So the government said, it makes people lazy. And people realised that wasn't true. So they come up with this, it gives you brain damage, you know. You know, and 10 or 15 years went by, and then people started realising that's not true either. It actually protects your brain. So now they're saying it causes schizophrenia in young people. If young people smoke it, it causes schizophrenia. Now, I'm just wondering, well, how did they do this research? I mean, did they do a double-blind study where they gave lots of young children cannabis, you know, and then a load of other children a placebo, right? And then, like, after sort of like 20 or 30 years, they checked on them, and they saw that all the ones that they gave cannabis to, lots of them have got schizophrenia, and the ones they didn't give cannabis to didn't get schizophrenia. I mean, is that what they've done? It seems a bit, you know, unlikely, doesn't it? But they've actually done a double-blind study about this. And on the other hand, right, how are you supposed to research or you know, and find out whether this assumption about cannabis causing schizophrenia is true? How do you do the research? How can you prove it wrong? On the one hand, I can't see how they could have done any sort of study that could possibly be reliable. And on the other hand, there's no way to disprove it. How can you disprove something like this? So it's like, it's obvious, it just reeks of total bullshit, you know, and remembering that it's from the same people that have been lying about cannabis consistently for the last 70 years. You know, everything they've said about it to try and demonize it has been proven a lie. And now they've come up with something that not only could they not have had any way of actually coming up with a conclusion like that could be reliable, but there's no way of actually disproving it either. It's like, you know, it's like almost like a religion. It's like a superstition that they're just going to give you another lie. It's not based on any reality at all, but that's what they're going to do. Right, autism. A lot of the reason why young autism people won't speak, or even old people, old autistic people won't speak to people, is because they see this reality of like a collective consciousness, all based on ignorance. So to them, there's nobody to talk to. That's why they don't talk. It's not that they can't talk; they just don't see anyone to talk to. You're all like Agent Smiths to them. And as for schizophrenia, right? Schizophrenia, they say it's like, oh, it's like a brain disease, you know, because they love to sort of reduce everything down. The left brain people love to reduce everything down to sort of, oh, it's nuts and bolts. So it's like a little part of the brain that's not working properly. Now, there's another side to this, right? Because the right brain side will look at the big picture, right, and see that, well, these people that we call schizophrenic, what they've realized is that it doesn't matter what they say to people, they're all crazy. They're all like demonically possessed. They're all of one mind, you know, and they feel like it's a conspiracy. I mean, that's what it feels like to a schizophrenic. Like you're all ganging up on this person, and you're all acting like, well, you're like, it's like you're all possessed by the devil. You're being controlled by the devil. That's how it really is. So it's no wonder people become schizophrenic. They can't cope with you all being of one mind. You're like the BORG. You're like a load of like vampires. So that's what schizophrenia is, you know. It's the realization that the vast majority of people are all of one mind, and they're wrong. That one mind is based in ignorance, and they find it hard to cope with that, you know, and they sort of like get a stress response, and it like breaks a little part of their brain, you know. But it's the fact that it's everyone else that causes the problem. You know, it's what we label them schizophrenic because we don't want to have to look at ourselves and see that we are actually the cause of it. You know, or people generally, it's this alien mindset that's just against nature, wants to control everything. Everyone, you know, has to be ordered and rational and reasonable. And at the same time, we're destroying the world. You know, we're going against the balance of nature. We're creating all this pollution. We're overpopulating the planet. We've got this written word stuff that's like we've replaced God with books, like law books and religious books and stuff. You know, instead of having a connection to God like we would do it in the Garden of Eden, where we didn't have books. You know, God would speak to us in our heart. We would know. Everybody would just know. But now with the written word, it's like a drug. We're all drunk on the written word. We're all like addicts. We're sort of junkies to the written word and all the things that come along with it. All this technology, which has got this huge price of all this pollution and, you know, destroying the planet and making it uninhabitable. So the autistic people don't want to speak to you people because, you know, there's no point. It's just a waste of breath. You know, it's not, you can't reason with these people. It's like you can't reason with Agent Smith. You can't reason with a vampire. And the other thing is, it's like these things, I mean, I don't really understand why it's all going on. Maybe people are just really stupid and there's no training them. And this setup with the dumbed down school system and making cannabis illegal is just a way of like sorting the wheat from the chaff. I've been trying to think of it from different points of view. You know, is it really a bad thing? Because when you try to talk to people about this stuff, they won't hear what you're saying. They're like sheep. It's like talking to creatures that have got no intelligence. So maybe that's why it's all been done. I've got to try and think of it from a point of view of, look, maybe the people doing all this stuff really know what they're doing, and that it's just a matter of like sorting the wheat from the chaff. You just got to like realize these people are just terminally stupid. You know, they're dangerous. They need to be like kept under control. And when you understand that, then you can realize what's going on. You can see what the rules are, and then you can, like in the Matrix, like Neo does, you make up your own rules. You know, you make your own code. I didn't really talk about the Borg much, you know, but the Borg is the same kind of thing. People just get like sucked into this kind of way of doing things. But with the Borg, it's like they capture you, don't they? You know, and I mean, these things aren't perfect like examples of how things really work in the real world. They're just different ways of seeing the same thing. And like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the vampire things, the zombies, it's all the same story, but just from a different perspective, looking at it in a different way. So I think it's a good thing for me anyway to look at all these things, these like fictional accounts and stuff, and see what the reality is, and see the common denominator, because it's all about this alien mind, this devilish, demonic thing of ignorance that takes people over. Like ignorance is like a drug. You know, it's literally, it creates these drugs in your brain and makes you addicted to them. Okay, so I'm going to call it a day now. I've got other videos to make. I don't want to put them all in the same video. Okay, thanks for watching.